Yo, Vycery here. Today we take a look at the Artian crafting system and some of the specialties this mechanic brings to the game. I will only talk about the rarity 8 Artian crafting, and I will not cover the earlier stages. Let's start simple. What is Artian crafting? Artian weapons are a special category that don't have a weapon tree like monster weapons and are crafted by the player using different Artian parts. There are 4 different parts in blade, disc, device, and tube, and every weapon uses a combination of 3 to be forged. For example, a greatsword needs 2 blade parts and 1 tube part, while a hammer needs 2 disc parts and 1 tube part. But we are not done here. Each of those 4 parts is categorized even further in 5 elements and 4 status. That means that every part can have fire, water, thunder, ice, and dragon for the elemental side, and poison, paralysis, sleep, and blast for the status side. On top of that, every part also has an Artian bonus, which can either be an attack infusion or an affinity infusion. If we add all this together, each part has 18 different versions, starting with the fire element with attack infusion, all the way to blast status with affinity infusion. To get those parts, you can fight tempered monsters, preferably the ones that give bright red parts. The parts you get are random, so you can't farm one specific monster. It's best to farm investigations with multiple monsters as target, since they give the most parts. Or you can melt them in Suja. Reaching Hunter rank 100 will give you the ability to melt specific parts. Sounds complicated, but it's relatively simple to understand once you make your first weapons. Speaking of that, how do you craft an Artian weapon? If you know the weapon you want to forge, you are presented with the crafting menu. Here you see the parts your weapon needs, and what the stats of that weapon will be once it's forged. This is where things get interesting. Depending on what element and what Artian bonus you use, you get a different result. Using 3 parts of different elements will give you a weapon without any element or status. Using at least 2 parts of the same element will grant you that element, and using 3 parts of the same element will give you a bonus. How much element and how big that bonus will be depends solely on the weapon type you make. A greatsword will have way more element than a bow. The Artian bonus behaves a bit differently. Attack infusion will always provide plus 5 raw, and affinity infusion plus 5% affinity no matter the weapon type. Meaning you can get a max of plus 15 raw, plus 15% affinity, or any combination of those. With that weapon crafted, you have the opportunity to reinforce it. Now, what is reinforcing? This means you can upgrade your Artian weapon further by using what is called Auricalcite. You can reinforce up to 5 times, and each time it costs 10 Auricalcite. For a rarity 8 Artian weapon, you need a total of 50. To get this material, you can either wait for the festival in Azus and collect your share, melt it yourself using monster materials, dismantle an already upgraded Artian weapon, or trade with Gaudium. Gaudium wants 10 ancient Bavarian coins for 1 Auricalcite, which is very expensive, so I suggest using one of the other ways. Like I said, you have 5 upgrades. Those, unlike the production bonus, are completely random. On all melee weapons, you can get either attack, affinity, element, or sharpness infusion. On bowguns, you can get attack, affinity, and capacity infusion. You can't get element on bowguns. And on bow, you can't get sharpness nor capacity, but attack, affinity, and element infusion. There's one more thing. Each type of upgrade has a limit. Attack infusion can be attempted 5 times, which means that your weapon can potentially have 5 attack infusions as reinforcement bonus. Element is limited to 4. Affinity is maxed at 3, and sharpness and capacity are both capped at 2. The values for attack and affinity are the same across all weapon types, with attack being plus 5 raw and affinity plus 5%. Element and sharpness vary between the classes, and capacity is always plus 1 bullet. There's even more. Some weapons gain specific stats depending on what element you craft them with. For example, an Artian firebow will always have close range coding, while an Artian ice bow will always have pierce coating. I took the time and made a spreadsheet with all possible variations for all weapons and made notes if there is a difference between the elements. The link is in the description. It would take too long to list every change now. Now you pray to RNGesus and gamble. If you get the roll you want, awesome. If not, then you can disassemble your weapon. That will destroy it, but you get back your upgrade material. The parts you use to craft the weapon are deleted. Keep that in mind. And that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and you learned something. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.